What's up, everybody? It's Brenton Brown from Forza Tuning and Performance, and I'm going to continue on this Hellephant engine teardown, and then I'm going to do some question and answers for you all while I'm working on the engine.
All right, so Hellcat 2000 asked, what makes it different from the Demon Crate engine?
The Demon Crate engine is the same as a Red Eye Crate engine, so it's got a cast iron block where this is aluminum. This is cast aluminum. All the Hellcat engines are 6.2 liters in displacement, and this is 7 liters. The Hellephant engine has a bigger supercharger, so it is a 3-liter supercharger. The Hellcats have a 2.4-liter supercharger, and the Demon and Red Eye have a 2.7. Those are the main differences. This is rated at like 1,000 horsepower, and then this is not street legal in any form. So they don't have to abide by the same emissions regulations or anything else on this engine because they didn't actually put it in a car. So the other engines are in street legal cars, so they're gonna be more strict. They made 100 of these. They came with an ATI crank pulley on it, and the crankshaft is pinned where none of the other Hellcat engines are, and they should be. The timing cover on this is slightly different. It's clearance for the ATI dampener. We clearance them here in-house when we install the dampeners on them. Come with ARP head studs, where the regular engines just have head bolts. That's pretty much it. It uses the stock, the same throttle body, same part number, same valve covers, same cylinder heads. Part numbers are the same. As far as bottom end components, I haven't got it apart yet, so I don't know for sure. So once we get it apart, I'll let you all know what differences I see there.
Kristen Catalan asked, can it be possible to put the Hellephant in a Trackhawk and have it at 1,200 horsepower?
Yes, we're actually doing a Hellephant swap. So this is going in a Demon. We have a Red Eye Super Stock that's getting Hellephant engine number 44, and then we have a 2021 that's slate blue color Trackhawk that we're putting number 88 in. Either 88 or actually number 100. So I'm not sure which one we're putting in it yet. So yes, we'll do that. We'll have a video on it. But it's relatively easy, honestly. The engine's physical size is the same, so it'll actually bolt in really easily. They run all the same sensors, so the wiring harness will plug right in. So putting a Hellephant in any one of the Hellcat platforms is an incredibly easy swap to do. So basically all I've done, as you can see, I pulled the cylinder heads off. I'm going ahead and taking the front components off. So I started with the ATI pulley. Pretty cut and dry. The only thing I was going to mention is it's 3 pieces. So you just saw me take the hub off. This is the first piece. If you're installing these or removing them, I would suggest getting their damper installer remover tool. That way you do not tear it up. You don't want to hammer this on the engine or anything else. With the tool, you can take this on and put it back, put it on and off without damaging anything. The other 2 pieces, just pretty easy. These are 12-point bolts. So a 12-point socket, which is not super rare. But then the main balancer itself, this goes on, and there's a dot to index that they have instructions, but one of the things that get overlooked all the time are these Torx head bolts. Okay, so they tell you in the instructions, and it's on a sticker on the front of the balancer, that these are T40 Torx Plus. So this is different than a Torx. If you use a Torx on these, you will damage these and round them off, and you will not be able to get them out. So we see this all the time, despite it being in instructions and on the literally front of the pulley. So do not use a regular Torx socket, or you will tear these things up and you will not be able to get them out. So I was taking that balancer off while you were watching. Obviously I've got the heads off here, so the engine is really easy to turn over. So to prevent that, all I did was just take 3 flywheel bolts off another Hellcat and screw them into the back of the crank and just use a pry bar. That way you can hold the engine still. I don't know if any oil's gonna come out of here or not. Yep. It's got some oil in it. They pre-run these before they leave. So it's been drained of oil, but there's still some in there. So I'm gonna take the oil pan off before I take the front and rear cover off because the oil pan secures, bolts up into the front cover and the back cover. Now, if you have to, you can get this off without taking the oil pan off. but this is the proper way to do it and a proper way to install it. So I'm just going to show you all. You know, actually, where's that other drain pan at, Johnny? I'm saying this doesn't have oil in it, but maybe I should check. Yeah, I mean, it's probably got some. I need to. Look at that.
LT Boone asks, what type of gas or what kind of gas do you tune all your cars on?
So we always recommend running like butane in any of these cars, even like stock power level. It's just a good idea. It's extra insurance. So there is butane Premium and butane Professional. Butane Professional is stronger, so that's what we recommend. And like probably, so roughly, I'm gonna say about 1 ounce per gallon of fuel. So it doesn't need to be, so basically what that equates to is Butane Professional comes in 32 ounce metal cans. So I would just, if you have Shell 93, I would just run like a half a can per tank of fuel. So just keep some in your car, when you go get gas, dump a half a can in. And it doesn't have to be like measured out in a, you know, a beaker or anything crazy, you know, just ballpark half a can. You know, run the car down to a quarter tank, dump it in, fill it up with gas, and just go. If you're somewhere where you have 91 octane, then I would do double that, so 2 ounces per gallon, or roughly a full can. So cans roughly just under 30 bucks, so not super costly or anything, but you know, could save an engine, which could save you a ton of money. Because you never know, like if the guy pumping, you know, the driver with the semi is putting the wrong gas in the wrong tank, which we've definitely seen numerous times. You know, so you never know. You go to the right gas station, you pump the right gas, and you could have low octane. If you're just driving a regular car, it's not going to be that big of a deal. But if you got something with, you know, 650 plus horsepower, it can be a big deal. Now, the stock calibrations and the computers, they do have safeguards to try to pull timing and different things to keep the engine safe. But still, those are like safety nets. You know, you definitely wouldn't want to pump 87 in there on purpose and test the limits of those safeguards. So personally, I would just add butane. Then even if you got bad gas or something, you still got some protection. So that would be my recommendation.
Rasky813 asks, do we have any future upcoming builds such as the Demon Hawk? And if so, what?
Future upcoming builds such as the Demon Hawk? Yeah, we've got a bunch of them actually. There's gonna be a lot of different build series going on. They'll be more in-depth, kind of like this, where I'm kind of showing you all what I'm doing and, you know, how we're doing it. But I don't want to kind of give any spoiler alerts. So yes, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, subscribe. You know, get notifications, and you'll see a bunch of cool stuff coming up. So on these, the oil pan gasket kind of doubles as the windage tray. So windage tray, I'll show you what that is. Most of y'all probably know if you take an engine apart. If you haven't, it's no big deal. It's just kind of like a splash shield, basically, to keep the oil from splashing down at the bottom. So the pickup tube here is bolted to the oil pump. Very typical of a lot of engines. So nothing unique here. And then the little stand is bolted to a main cap bolt with a stud made onto it. And I'm going to show you on this pickup screen, I actually see a couple, 1, 2, 3, I don't know, 3, 4 pieces of small metal debris, which again would be very typical. there's actually a little bit of metal down at the bottom of the pan. Pretty typical. It's just bearing material and stuff that probably wore off during break-in or initial runs. Nothing to be alarmed at. If you know, it's pretty much in every single engine, transmission, anything. So, you know, I could see where that would freak some people out, but not really a big deal. If there's an excessive amount of metal, you know, it would be. And I'm going to show you on this pickup screen. I actually see a couple, 1, 2, 3, I don't know, 3, 4 pieces of small metal debris, which again would be very typical. And I don't know, I'll show you. I don't know if the camera can pick this up. So there's some metal, small pieces of metal. See it? So we'll just take a magnet or just knock them out. It's not a big deal. Flush it with brake fluid. What? Not brake fluid, brake cleaner from the other side. But as you can see, that's pretty typical. So real quick, this is a windage tray. So again, crankshaft on this side, and this just basically keeps, when the crankshaft's spinning at a high rate of speed, keeps it from sloshing any oil, or they call it aeration, where it's basically air in the oil, kind of frothing. You don't want to do that. So basically any wet sump, or wet sump meaning just the oil pan has oil in it, not like a dry sump, will have a windage tray. So this is just kind of integrated in with the oil pan gasket, which is fairly common nowadays. You see this a lot. And it's probably just cheaper during production and stuff like that. Take the water pump off first to show you. It's a water pump assembly. It has the supercharger belt tensioner on it. Just gonna retain these bolts. So once we pull the timing cover off, you'll see the oil pump, timing chain tensioner, cam phaser, all that stuff. So we got the oil pan off. This is coolant temp sensor. This is cam position sensor, crank position sensors in the back of the block right here. I'm going to leave all those in. We've got, that's pretty much it. So we got another tensioner here. We'll leave that on. We got one bolt right there. All right, so this front timing cover, right here is where it's modified for clearance on the front 10% overdrive diameter pulley. The bolt configuration, the bolt layout is a little bit different also for clearance, so we had to modify the bolt a little bit and then clearance this. So pretty cut and dry, nothing crazy here. Cam position sensor, you know, front crank seal. So we're just gonna put this over on the table. Okay, so the next thing we got, you know, this being an aluminum block, this is starting to look a lot different than a Hellcat engine. So we've got cam phaser and an oil pump. Here's the cam, I'm sorry, this is a timing chain tensioner. And then the bottom sprocket will be underneath here. So we're just gonna take the oil pump off the engine. Okay, so if y'all have never seen one of these, this has some notches in it, and this engages with the lower timing chain sprocket, and the crank turns the oil pump. And then down here at the bottom, this is what the pickup tube was bolted to. So as this turns around, it pulls oil out of the pan up through here, and then it will go through this passage right here and start going through the engine, through all the oil galleys. So pretty much, you know, there's some gears in here. If you took this out, the actual kind of like just two gears that intermesh with each other. And then this is a spring, a regulator for oil pressure. And the stock oil pump is really good in these. So you're perfectly fine. You don't really, you can upgrade to a higher volume on some of the bigger builds we do. On this one, we probably will. But it is, for a stock oil pump, it is really good. Moving right along, we got the timing chain. So normally, not taking it apart, but if you're putting it back together, didn't know the timing marks, you would want to line them up, and there'll be an index mark in the sprocket in both of them. You know, some engines, they'll be like dot to dot, some are one up, so 12 and 12. The Hemis, they have a timing chain on here where it has one mark, and then you'll see a couple links next to each other with 2 marks. That's important. So when you go back together with this one or the next one, I'm going to show you all how to put it together, how to degree the camshaft and stuff like that. So just taking it apart, really, that's not important. So you've got your timing chain tensioner. So if you get a new hydraulic tensioner, you'll get something kind of like this in the tensioner when it's new. This is just a retainer to keep it held together. You know, if you put a timing chain tensioner on something, just keep these. I got a bunch of them in my toolbox. If you don't have it, you can use a cotter key or a small Allen head wrench or anything like that. And you'll see a hole through the thing. You just stick it through there. You can see it's loose. There's not a whole lot of tension on it. And it's hydraulic, it's engine oil. So the oil pump pumps engine oil through the oil galleys, and that puts pressure on the back of the piston. So once you have that, you can go ahead and take the timing chain tensioner and the timing chain guide over here off. So pretty simple piece. It's plastic. And just oil goes through there. It's got a piston, just pushes on this, and the timing chain rides on that. So nothing crazy there. These are the links that I was talking about with the 2 marks. And then if you go around here, there's the other link with the 1 mark. So this is just stock timing chain, stock cam phaser, you got 1 cam bolt in the middle. So what this does is this, on oil pressure, on different engines, this can phase the timing of the camshaft on different engines. And this is pretty, you'll see this on like all different kinds of cars, pretty much nowadays, pretty much everything. And in here, there is a procedure that you have to follow to take this off. There's a spring in here, and it can be really strong. It's actually a message on here. Lockout lockout installed. Okay, so they've actually, so it's probably a fairly aggressive camshaft. So we're going to take the cam in here, put it in a cam doctor, and see exactly what the specs are on the Hellephant cam. But so what we do, what I was getting ready to talk about is we take this cover and we take it off. We don't take it fully off. There's a way to remove some of the bolts and pivot it around. That way the spring does not come out. You can definitely hurt yourself or somebody else, so you don't want to just take this off. But there's put a lockout, which basically just limits the movement of this. So the tops of the valves don't hit the pistons on a higher lift camshaft. So it has a mark scribed in here that they've already installed a lockout on here. So I don't know what they've locked it out to. We'll take the cover off and look, and we'll probably be able to see basically the size of it based off the one we normally use. It's probably pretty standard if I had to guess, but that's this. So if you put a cam in a Hemi, or pretty much any car, you will probably need to put a phaser lockout or a phaser limiter inside there. So